So there is when we started to extend that model, extend this model of providing evidences from research into dialogue with all the stakeholders. And so we had meetings with all the stakeholders that were involved in that neighborhood, local government, regional government, the Roma Secretariat, the different Roma associations. There were many Roma people in that community, researchers from the Included project, the school, the head of the school, different associations, and people from the neighborhood into dialogue. And this is what we have identified as the dialogic inclusion contract. The dialogic inclusion contract is a way of putting into dialogue the evidences from research with all the stakeholders in that particular community. So it is not just implementing from a top-down basis some actions, but rather to put them into dialogue and to recreate those actions with the people and with the stakeholders from that area. So this kind of dialogic inclusion contract was very successful in implementing those actions in that community, following the same example of what they had done in the school. We have already published in different journals about this dialogic procedure, of how to put evidences, knowledge from research into dialogue with the stakeholders, and this was also very successful in this area. So this is kind of the process. We have evidences from research on those kind of solutions that have proof. We have data on those successes, and then through the communicative methodology, through the dialogue with subjects, to recreate into the different contexts these actions with involvement of subjects and policymakers. What they did, this is just an example. What they did is to implement different actions from the research. So not just from education, but also in other areas. So they started an employment cooperative. There was, we had a lot of data on the success of some cooperatives, a successful cooperative in labor insertion. So they started an employment cooperative with people from the neighborhood. And they also started in coordination with the educational project of the neighborhood. Another example is the consultative neighborhood council. So there was evidences that in other places the implementation of policies or programs had been more successful when they had counted on a council of citizens who decided how to implement that. So they organized a neighborhood with 25 people, neighbors, that they were not association representative, that sometimes they had some power already, but they were regular citizens that represented the community. And now this consultative neighborhood has to be consulted by the local administration in order to decide how to implement the money that they get for improvement of the area with this priority zone budgets. Another of the actions is that goes beyond the school is the weekend center, or that they call it, the Centro Finde. In this weekend center, in this neighborhood, that people used to say that you cannot be there besides 3 o'clock. So all the professionals would work there until 3 and they'll leave, and they said that it was too dangerous. So now this weekend center is open from Friday 3 o'clock to Sunday evening, and children can go there and do different kind of learning activities, leisure activities, so they are not just in the streets. So in a neighborhood that police did not dare to go inside, now there are all those authorities and many people and key people in the municipality that wants to go there and see how this change is being provided. So this was just an example of how we can use research, or evidence from research to become actual policies that can help communities to overcome poverty and to overcome educational and social exclusion. In next December 6th, just next week almost, we have the final conference of the Included project. That this conference is going to take place also inside the European Parliament, in one of the headquarters of the European Parliament. And in this conference, we will provide examples like this one, in which evidences from research had been put in dialogue already with stakeholders, with policymakers, and they have already become programs and policies that have reached, that have been successful and that have provided some changes in those society. And what is more important is that those actions are transferable, that can be universal and transferable across Europe. In the Included project, we were not looking for context differences between the European countries, but rather what was common, what was similar in the schools that we had been studying, that we studied the school in Malta and the schools in Spain and in Finland. So those schools that were in those kind of situations, the case I just showed was extreme. Not all the schools were in such extreme poverty, but they were in low socioeconomic areas, with working class families, with migrant students going in those schools. So what had those schools in common? And that was successful and that helped the children to overcome. And that is what we're looking for, what can be transferable into different European countries, so they can become recommendations for Europe. And so this, I'm just inviting you, that I have the floor, to the final Included conference that is going to take place in the Parliament, and we'll have this kind of dialogues. We'll put these successful actions in dialogue with all the stakeholders and show what was successful in some of those cases. So we hope that it will have some policy impact, because we think that there is a need from research, in different fields, but especially when we talk about research about poverty, about social exclusion, that provides evidences on how to overcome that poverty, how to overcome this social exclusion, so that we think that research should be accountable for society, and it's public investment that should get back to those people who really need it across Europe, especially the children that we hope that can have a better future. Thank you.